everyone, my name is Maddie, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my February book haul. So you'll notice we're at a slightly different angle today, trying something out. You will see why at the end I'm doing something a bit funny just because I'm laughing at this bloody book haul. So I knew in February that quite a lot of you gifted me things. I knew in February that I bought myself quite a lot of things. I knew in February I was lucky enough to be sent a few things by publishers. I knew all of this. But I didn't think overall it would amount to that many books. But it has. I think I have about 25 books. A few of them I did get at the end of January, but I filmed my January haul early, so they weren't included. So I have way too many books to talk to you about today. We're going to try and be vaguely brief. I'm rubbish at giving synopses anyway because I've not read most of these books. I have read a couple. So we're going to go straight in. We're going to do it in 3 sections. We're going to do books gifted to me by publishers, books gifted to me by you guys, and then books I bought myself. That's the order we're going in, just for the sake of ease and splitting it up. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to get straight into it. There is not a lot of preamble required for a book haul. You know what it is. I got sent these books. I got these books throughout the month. Let's tell you about them. Though I will say, obviously at the beginning, in case I forget to say it as we go, thank you to all the publishers. Thank you to every single one of you that sent me something. As always, I massively appreciate it. Let's get started. I should absolutely have organised these stacks of books before starting filming. That was way too much effort. But starting with the books from publishers, with my most anticipated one, this is First Become Ashes by K.M. Sparer. I am so excited for this. It's being published by Tor. It comes out on the 4th of April, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't read this one yet, but I should be reading it super soon, so I'm excited. And this follows, I can't remember the main character's name, Lark. This follows Lark, who's like, I imagine mid-20s, and he has been told his whole life, he's like part of this cult, that if he tortures himself, he will gain magic eventually. And so he is, you know, going through hell, putting himself through hell with the view of getting magic and kind of achieving this level. And then he gets told by the government that this may not actually be true and he may have done it for absolutely no reason. So I'm super intrigued by this one. I loved Docile by K.M. Sparer. I've said multiple times, Docile was one of my favourite books of 2020. And so I'm really optimistic that this will hopefully hold up for me. I know I like K.M. Sparer's writing, so I'm excited. And yeah, I can't believe I have this at all. Like, I really still do not believe that I own this book. But I'm incredibly excited to read it. I'm hoping it's going to be as dark and gritty as Docile was. Not that I, like, love watching people suffer, but it's interesting and it creates an interesting psychological, like, thought process. So I'm very intrigued to give this one a go. We'll be reading it very soon. Next up, from Walker, I have Game Changer by Neil Schusterman. This actually came out on the 11th of February, but I have a video I want to do in March, which I'm going to be reading this for. I'm excited by this. This is like a slightly sci-fi alternate reality thing, I think. Someone like takes lots of like head damage from being on an American football team, and then eventually it like pushes him into another reality, I think. And I'm so intrigued by that. That's such a cool concept. I have read Scythe by Neil Schusterman, which I adored. Like, it's a brilliant, brilliant series, that. So I'm obviously very optimistic that I will like this because I know I like Neil Schusterman's writing. So really intrigued to give this one a go. I like a lot of Walker's books, so again, I trust them to publish a very good book. And it's really pretty. I love the cover of this one. It's really cool. Don't know how much you can see because you're really far away, but we're gonna keep going because I've committed now. Yeah, I'm so intrigued by this. I don't really know what else to say about it. I don't know that much, but fingers crossed that I like it. And hopefully you should be seeing a video in March about this book. Possibly the beginning of April if I read these right at the end, but in the next month or so, you should be getting full thoughts on this book. Next up from Bloomsbury YA is As Far As You'll Take Me by Phil Stamper. This I was so excited. This is one of my most anticipated releases of 2021. I really enjoyed Phil Stamper's debut novel, The Gravity of Us, which came out last year. It was good fun, and when I found out this was coming out, I knew I needed to read it. It's gay, it's LGBT, follows a gay main character with loads of LGBT side characters, and it has a huge focus on classical music, which is something that I absolutely love, not to listen to, more so to perform. And I have already read this. It comes out on the 4th of March, I'm pretty sure, so the day before, I think, or like 2 days before this video goes up. And Yeah, it's brilliant. I absolutely loved this. It's much more hard-hitting than his debut book, which I actually really appreciated. I tend to prefer issue-based YA contemporary instead of just fluffy YA contemporary. It just tends to be what I enjoy reading more, especially when it's LGBT, of course. So this was a massive win in my eyes. I loved it. Highly recommend you check it out. Are you starting to see why I wanted to film here? There might be stacks by the end. I literally shouldn't be left in my flat on my own for a long period of time because this is what I end up doing. I actually did a whole photo shoot earlier. I'll put the photo in here. Not relevant, let's carry on. The next book I got sent was Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This was sent to me by Pittacus. Oh my god, I can't believe I have this. I requested this God knows how many months ago, never heard anything back, as is often the way with publishers. And then it just arrived, and I'm thrilled about that, and I read it within 24 hours of it arriving, of course. I loved this. This is the final book in the Brown Sisters trilogy. For those who don't know, the Brown Sisters trilogy is an adult romance series following these three sisters, Chloe, Danny, and Eve, forgetting the last name. And they are gorgeous. They're so steamy. All of the sisters are so much diversity and so much rep in all of these books. There's LGBT rep, there's a disability rep, there's all sorts of things. It's great. I love them. And almost all the rep in all the books is own voices, because Talia Hibbert is just phenomenal. And this was amazing. The banter. If you want fun, like light enemies to lovers banter, read this book, you will not regret it. It comes out on March 9th. Please try it. And then the final book I have from a publisher is The Absolute Book by Elizabeth Knox. I don't know too much about this one. I'm pretty sure it's like a mystery thriller fantasy kind of thing. It definitely has a plot of like a mysterious book, a mysterious library, which is honestly one of my favourite like plots in books. I mean, we go off two of my favourite books being The Starless Sea and The 10,000 Doors of January, which are both that kind of thing. So this book, I never actually heard of myself. It's just a case of Laini Taylor and Erin Morgenstern both keep hyping this book. And if those two people hype this book, I want to read it. And it has the most gorgeous cover. Like Laini Taylor is blurbed on the back. I am so intrigued by it. It's just absolutely stunning, and the end papers as well. You're so far away, but the end papers are so cool as well. I'm really excited. And this, I don't know the exact pub date, and my phone is elsewhere, but this comes out in March as well, in the UK at least. I think it's been out in the US for a while, if I'm correct, but it is now being published in the US by Penguin, by Michael Joseph is the imprint, so thank you to them for sending me this. I'm so excited. I don't know when I'm gonna get to this because it's chunky. It's like a good 600 pages, but I'm very, very, very excited nonetheless. Although that is all the books from publishers, I do have one more book to speak about before moving on to books from you guys, and that is Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. I am a rep for Illumicrate, and this was Illumicrate's January book, so this was kind of sent to me by them, I guess. I'm so excited for this. This is another one of my really anticipated 2021 releases. It is a male-male sci-fi romance, which has been blurbed as Ancillary Justice meets Red, White and Royal Blue. I haven't read Ancillary Justice because I don't read that much sci-fi, though I'm wanting to get more into it, but like romance, Red, White and Royal Blue, here for that. So very, very, very intrigued about this one. It's a gorgeous edition, of course, as with the Illumicrate, and everyone's been reading it. It says it's like the best arranged marriage, enemies to lovers, clueless gay people book ever, which I am unbelievably on board with. So yeah, excited for this. And I will be reading this in May for a book club I'm helping co-host. And I'm not going to say more than that because it's not been announced yet, but it's just like a smallish thing. But that is when I'll be reading this one, and I cannot wait. It is killing me that I have to wait until May. That is still a whole 2 months away, and I'm not okay with this fact. So books that were sent to me sort of as presents. First one I'm going to talk about is Crosshairs by Catherine Hernandez. This was actually gifted to me by my mum for Christmas. She got me this book very much on the proviso that she wanted to read it as well. And she read it first and loved it, so wants to keep the copy she read. So she bought me another copy, and I'm so excited. This is an LGBT dystopia. It is set in England, I think. I think this is set in England. It may not be, but wherever it's set, it follows a world where it's a dystopian future where society has been like absolutely destroyed after a big sort of natural disaster, and marginalised groups have basically been taken off to work in camps, and that's LGBT people, it's people of colour, all sorts of marginalised groups have been taken off to work in labour camps basically. So intrigued by this. I know it follows a drag queen, obviously a lot of LGBT characters, its own voices, a lot of it, super intrigued. And I've just noticed It's blurbed by V. Schwab on the back, which I didn't know, and makes me very excited. So this is one I'll definitely be reading soon, and I'm so excited to get to. And then onto books from you guys. I don't know how you guys keep sending me so many things, but like, thank you. I still am mind blown every single time, but let's just start going through them. So starting with graphic novels, first up we have Skyward, which is a really exciting graphic novel. I'm so intrigued by this. I love the art style of it so much, like so much. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I know Jade from Jade Grey Reads has really enjoyed this one, and that's why I put it on my wish list, because I'm just so intrigued by the concept. And this is from Victoria Rowe. I don't fully know the concept other than, yeah, gravity on Earth suddenly becomes practically non-existent, and so it's how the world adapts to not really having gravity anymore, which is super intriguing to me. So very, very excited to pick that one up. Next, from the wonderful Steph loves, who will of course be tagged, is Descender Volume 1. I have actually already read this one, and I enjoyed it. This follows, again, a futuristic sort of sci-fi world, and in this one, there's been robots that were created as like companions and all sorts of different things, and then these robots, there's like another kind of robots which have kind of gone wrong and destroyed loads of people, and they're kind of trying to get to the bottom of it. I will admit this one I found difficult because there was so much world building, though probably very necessary. It was a lot, but super intrigued to read the rest of this series because I think I'm going to get really into it. And then from the lovely Erin, I did get Cody, which I've also already read. I'm doing quite well with reading books as I get them at the moment-ish. And this is an adorable sort of contemporary story following a girl who goes to spend the summer in Alaska at her grandma's like house, and they're in the middle of the like woods pretty much, and she meets this big bear, like a Kodiak bear, and they become best friends, but then she has to go back to the city and he follows her there, and it's adorable. It was a really fun read. The art in this is absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, if you're looking for a fun, cute graphic novel to get through with really pretty art, highly recommend this one. Okay, we're gonna do the rest kind of by genre because just why not? First off, starting with contemporary, we have Our Year of Maybe. This was from Nicola, and Nicola is too much. She sent me things before, and she also sent me chocolate, which I'm very here for her sending me Galaxy along with a book. I'm not going to complain about that. But this is a really intriguing book. It's by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and I've not read any of Rachel Lynn Solomon's books before, although I have heard exceptionally good things about a lot of them. But this follows, what's the main character's name? Sophie, who is a choreographer, or an aspiring choreographer. And she has been in love with her childhood best friend for a really long time. And then he needs a kidney donation, and she discovers she is a match, so she can donate to him, and so she does. So with that, obviously it complicates their friendship and their relationship, and then he starts dating a new guy, and she goes off and starts getting opportunities herself, and they kind of reach this point of maybe they used to like each other, but what should they do about it now? I don't know. It just sounds like a really interesting almost character study of how a relationship can change so vastly from such a big thing. So I'm super intrigued by this, and it's super floppy and utterly gorgeous, so I'm very excited for this, so thank you to Nicola. Next up from Megan, we have You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel. This is an adult romance story which I've been wanting to read for a really, really long time because it sounds so funny. The premise of this is this engaged couple who are like due to get married soon, but they really don't want to get married anymore at all. They want to break up, but basically they have decided that whichever of them officially calls it off has to pay the whole wedding bill that they're going to lose. And so I get the impression they just start like pranking each other and sabotaging each other to try and get the other one to leave first. Does this sound like a healthy relationship? No. Does it sound really, really funny? Yeah, it really does. So I'm really intrigued to give this one a go, and I think I'm gonna really enjoy it. And I always love a bit of adult romance because, you know, it's good fun. I'm gonna move the stack across one. There's a third stack because otherwise I feel like it's gonna build up in front of me throughout the whole video. And we're also gonna do a shuffle. So that's more over there. That's more in the middle. This is actually a bit more on camera. There we go. I literally, my plan is just to like block myself in with books because it makes me laugh how many I have. So carrying on with the not quite contemporary but not quite fantasy, What Drove Me by Nina LaCour. I haven't read Nina LaCour before. I have owned, what's it, We'll Be Okay? We Are Okay? We Are Okay. I've owned that for a really long time, still not got around to reading it, though I really want to. But this, I can't honestly remember what this is about. I just remember thinking it sounded weird, and this is also from Erin. and therefore I wanted to read it because it's kind of creepy, kind of weird. Okay, so this follows Mila or Mila, and it sounds really interesting. She's aged out of the foster care system. She's gone to like this remote place to be a teacher, and it's like a really isolated area, and it seems like there's ghosts and memories are starting to haunt her and all sorts of things, and I'm super intrigued. It's just a short little one. I've actually just had a thought of one. I might read this. This may work very well for the Cockathon in a couple of weeks. It's the perfect kind of book for that. It should be a really quick but really good read. That's not the point of this video, I shouldn't be planning TBRs. But yeah, really intrigued by this one, really intrigued to know more about it because currently I really don't know very much at all, so cannot wait to get this one. So thank you to Erin, and also this is one of the most stunning books. I'm honestly just in awe of how beautiful it is. I love it. Also like a small little hardback that's not too thick, my favourite thing in the world. Love them, absolutely love it. Moving on to the next not quite fantasy one. This is a dystopia, This Is Not Your Backup by C.B. Lee. And I love this series. The first book in this series is called Not Your Sidekick. I haven't read the second one yet because I'm rubbish at completing series. This is the third one, and I think there's a fourth coming out soon. But this is a queer as hell dystopian superhero series, so I am here for it. It follows a futuristic America where the world's completely changed, it's all gone a bit wrong, but there are now superheroes, and when you're discovered to be a superhero, the government like puts you in a classification for how powerful you are, and depending on that, you're either allowed to like live your life or you have to go into training. And each book in this series follows a different main character from this like same central friendship group. They're all LGBT in different ways. First one was great fun, really excited to continue on with this series. Right, and then on to fantasy books, we're gonna kick it off with Ruthless Gods by Emily A. Duncan. This is a chunky book, but it has deckled edges and it's beautiful, so I really don't mind. This is the second book in a series. The first is Wicked Saints by Emily Duncan. I read however long ago when it first came out. I actually read an arc of it and loved it. I gave it 5 stars, and I do worry that my taste has changed a bit since then, but nonetheless I still think I'd love this series, so I wanted to get the second book so I can give it another go. I am waiting for the third book to come out so I can then read all 3 back to back, probably sometime next year if I'm honest. But nonetheless, I'm super excited for this, and it's a bit of an overview as much as I can remember from like 2 years ago. This follows a girl who is like very religious, and due to that she actually can communicate with the gods and get powers from them. But there's also like blood mages who they consider blasphemous and awful, and like her and a blood mage have to kind of make friends and come together, but there's betrayal and there's romance and there's everything, and it was just a good fun time. So I'm very intrigued to pick back up with this series when I can read all the books back to back. So thank you so much to Larissa for that one. And then also from Larissa, actually, is The Black God's Drums by P. Jelly Clark. So intrigued by this. This is a little tour novella. I am such a fan of tour novellas. I love them. And this is kind of dystopian, I think, because it's set in New Orleans, but very much in like a not New Orleans that we would know. And follows Creeper, a scrappy young teen who is set on securing passage out of New Orleans. And apparently something to do with like a kidnapped scientist and a mysterious weapon he calls the Black God's Drums. But there's also Orishas in this, like African Orisha, like gods, I think? I don't know if gods is the right word. Yeah, divine powers, so probably gods. And I think she has access to these powers and like things are going on. I don't know, I'm super intrigued. I cannot wait to read this one. I will be reading this month. Probably in the next week or 2, so I am super excited. So thank you again to Larissa for this one. Also, I said this one I unboxed them, but like the size difference of these 2 books honestly just made me laugh so much, and I don't know why. It just tickled me. Another novella though, carrying on that note, is Across the Green Grass Fields by Shannon Mcguire. This was pre-ordered for me ages ago, and it's killing me. Well, it's been killing me knowing it's on its way to me, but it's finally arrived. I finally have it. This is from Alex Doval, so thank you to them. This is the 6th installment in the Every Heart's Doorway series, Wayward children's series by Shannon Mcguire. One of my favourite series of all time, so I'm so intrigued to read this one. A nice little 200-page book. And this follows Reagan, I think, who is intersex and goes off to her world where there's lots of magical equine, so centaurs and kelpies and things like that. And I get the impression it's quite dark. I don't know, I'm excited. Cannot wait to read this. There's no question to be being read so soon because I've been waiting for it for a year, because these come out once a year and every year I die waiting, so excited. Next up from, this is why I stick all the gift notes in, because I have the memory of a sieve, from Fran, The Left-Handed Booksellers of London by Garth Nix. I've never read Garth Nix. I know Roe loves some of his books, so I'm really intrigued to try it. And this is such an interesting concept, and I know Beth from Books Nest recently loved this. Again, blurbed by V. Schwab, like seriously, just all of V. Schwab books at the moment. And this is set in alternative London in the 80s, which is cool. I thought it was set in like the 1800s. I like that it's only set in the 80s, that's really cool. Just, I love this, the outrageously attractive Merlin. And then it says, Merlin is a young left-handed bookseller, part of an extended clan of magical beings who police the mythic and legendary old world when it intrudes on the modern world, in addition to running several bookshops. I'm so intrigued. I think this is like a mystery fantasy kind of thing. It's stunning. It's floppy. I'm really excited to read this one. Who knows when, but I'm excited. And then the final book from you guys is Beyond the Black Door by A.M. Strickland, and this was from, again, my memory is being tested, Harriet Foster. I'm so bad with names at the best of times. Anyway, so this is from Harriet, so thank you to them. I am so excited by this. I don't know actually anything about the plot. All I know is it has ace rep, and therefore I wanted it. That's it. I knew it was ace rep, so I had to get it. And because there's not enough books with ace rep, I've certainly not read enough. Let me see. Everyone has a soul. Some are beautiful gardens, others are frightening dungeons. Soul walkers like Kamai and her mother can journey into other people's souls while they sleep. But no matter where Kamai visits, she sees the black door. It follows her into every soul when her mother has told her never to open it. I'm not going to read more than that because that sounds fascinating. I am so excited for this. A.M. Strickland is not an author I've read from before, but they have a book called In the Ravenous Dark coming out in May, which is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. So I wanted to read more by them. I've heard amazing things about this book and I'm super intrigued to read it, so I will be doing so. Hopefully soon, but as you can see, I have a lot of books I want to read hopefully soon, so we'll see how that goes. Moving on to the books I bought myself, which there are too many of. I'm normally really good that I don't buy myself too many books each month. I had a very stressful end of January, beginning of February, and then again a very stressful end of February. So I just bought myself books. So let's see what I got. Okay, so I bought myself 8 books in February, which is a lot for me. I normally buy maybe 2 or 3, but you know, here we are. First one, not too interesting, just quickly, is Invisible Women by Caroline Criado Perez. I am currently listening to this on audio. I did get the physical book with the intention of reading it physically, but it actually is working really well as audio for me because it is non-fiction. This is all about exposing the data bias in a world designed for men. So basically, it's a discussion and an analysis of all the different ways in which our world, our culture, is designed around and for men. Well, designed by men as well, and how that impacts like what it's like to live as a woman. So it's a super interesting read. I've only read the first sort of big section, maybe like out of 7, I think. So it's really fascinating and I'm intrigued to continue. It's definitely interesting reading it as a woman because in some ways there's parts I'm nodding along like, yeah, that sounds familiar, that sounds familiar. But even still, there's lots of things which don't directly impact me, either due to the country I live in or due to other privileges I have. And so it's also really enlightening for me to read and think about how other people are impacted. So been really, really interesting, really enlightening so far, and I'm excited to carry on. Next up, the one contemporary book I got myself is All of My Friends Are Rich by Michael Soris. I still need to check how to say that surname, I keep forgetting. I'm so excited for this. This was recommended to me again by the lovely Steph, and I had just watched It's a Sin, which is a TV show which I'd highly recommend if you want to watch it. It's on Channel 4, so you can watch it on like, I don't know if it's called All 4 or 4 on demand or something, but it's completely free to watch. And it's all about the sort of 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s with the AIDS crisis and how so many young men were dying from this completely unknown disease and nothing was being done to help them. They were just completely ignored. Anyway, it's phenomenal, it's heartbreaking, it's only a short series and it's one of the best things I've ever watched. Be prepared to bawl your eyes out, it is heartbreaking. But it's really, really brilliant, so I would highly recommend watching it. But when talking to her about that, she got reminded of this book, which she has read, which is self-published, and said it was really good, so I was like, I'll give it a go. And it follows this main character who all of his friends are rich, and so he's wasting all this money, spending all this money to try and like keep up with them. And then he kind of is just really struggling. It's a big impact on mental health and stuff, trying to like fit in like that. But then he actually turns to sex work as a possible way of getting out of this, and as part of that, as a gay man and turning to sex work, part of that is the risk of AIDS, and that's discussed, and that's why she remembered it. So super intrigued to pick this up. It's one of the most gorgeous books ever, and as well as having a really pretty cover, this is what it looks like under the dust jacket. And it's absolutely beautiful and I am obsessed and I cannot wait to get to this one, and I really hope I can fit it into a TBR soon because it's just sounds phenomenal. Next up we have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This is one I've seen doing the rounds a lot. It's a new Matt Haig, of course everyone's reading it, and I've never had a huge interest in reading Matt Haig. I've considered it a few times but I just don't feel like necessarily his books are for me, but a book club at my work is reading this in March, so I was like, okay, I will try and pick it up for that. That actually sounds like a really good opportunity, so I bought it and I'm intrigued by it. As far as I know, the premise for this is a woman dies and she goes to this like library and is basically told she can look back and kind of see what would have happened if things she had regretted she had done differently, which sounds really, really interesting. I love books that make you think, and this sounds like the exact sort of thing will make you really like analyze your actions and things like that, which I find really interesting. So I'm intrigued to give this one a go. I'm not sure it's going to be for me, but a lot of people love it, so maybe give it a go and see. Next, we're not really going in any order here, what order the stack is. Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. This is the middle grade monthly pick for March, so I thought I would get it, especially as the UK hardback is so stunning. I mean, it's just stunning anyway. You can see the rainbow in the title there. But on top of that, if I can do this, this is under the dust jacket, also rainbow, and you won't really be able to see from as far away as you are, but it has silver sprayed edges and it's beautiful and I'm obsessed, and I know nothing about this. Amari's brother goes missing, I think, and she tries to find him and she finds out magic is real and like all the fairy tales she's heard are real, and I've heard it's kind of Men in Black-esque, which has me so intrigued, and there's trials and lots of things I like, and it's middle grade. It should be fun and quick, so super excited to give this one a go, and we'll definitely try and read it in March. Next up, two I'm going to talk about together for no reason other than the fact they're both Tor novellas. We have Fireheart Tiger by Aliette de Beaudort and Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh. These are both Tor novellas. As I've already said in this video, I love Tor novellas, so I bought myself a couple that I'm really excited for. This one's just come out, this one's a bit more backlist. I'm pretty sure this one is Sapphic and this one is Male or Achillean. I may be wrong, but I'm super intrigued. This one is inspired by sort of, I can't remember what era, but Vietnam, I think, I might be wrong. Yes, pre-colonial Vietnamese inspired world. I am indeed correct. Super intrigued, don't know much more about it, but it's only 100 pages long, so I don't want to. And then this one is, there's a wild man who lives in the deep quiet of Green Hollow and listens to the wood. Tobias, tethered to the forest, does not dwell on his past life, but he lives a perfectly unremarkable existence with his cottage, his cat, and his dryads. I don't know what happens in this, but I'm intrigued. Think I'll love both. I love Tor novellas. I caved and bought two. Getting down to the final couple books. Next up, I did buy myself an Enchantment of Ravens. This is a book I've had my eye on for a really long time and I've been really intrigued to read. Every time Ashley at A Frolic Through Fiction mentions it, I know I want to buy it, but I never got around to buying it for whatever reason. And then I can't remember what happened, but I was having a hard week, I was struggling, and I put a thing out like, does anyone have just recommendations for like comforting books? So what I was looking for was House and Cerulean Sea vibes, and actually quite a few people said weirdly this would work because it's just fun and easy and fantasy romance, and I was like, you know what, okay, fine, we'll give that a go. And I finally bought a copy. It was difficult getting hold of a hardback, but I did it and I was determined because I have Sorcery of Thorns in hardback and I kind of want them to match even though they're not the same series or anything. This is beautiful, I'm intrigued. All I know about this is this follows a girl who lives in a world where there are Fae, but the Fae cannot create. That's not a thing they can really do. And so she is commissioned to create a painting of like a Fae king, I think. And in doing so, she accidentally puts emotion in his eyes and that's like awful and she's imprisoned. I don't know. I know there's meant to be banter. I'm guessing it's kind of enemies to lovers-ish because warring races and all that. I'm excited, basically. I don't know when I'll read it, but I'm excited. And then the final book I have to talk about is The Mask Falling by Samantha Shannon. I have the signed edition from Waterstones, so it has a signed book plate in it, if you can even see that. And I'm really intrigued by this one. This is the fourth book in the Bone Season series. I have only read the Bone Season and the novella The Pale Dreamer so far. I am hoping to continue with the series really soon, but I did enjoy the first book a lot, and I'm very optimistic that I'll enjoy the second and third more, and this one. Everyone that reads the same kinds of books as me and loves the same kind of books as me loves this series, so I'm pretty optimistic, and that's why I pre-ordered this, because I really wanted to get the signed edition, and also it's beautiful. This yellow is like my favourite thing with the bumblebees. It's got my whole heart. I love it. So absolutely love this. Really intrigued to read it. I don't know when, because I have like 3 books I need to read before this one, so I need to read The Dawn Chorus as well, which is another novella. But I will get to it eventually. I love Samantha Shannon. Priory is one of my favourite books, The Priory Orange Tree by her. So I bought this even though I hadn't actually started the series when I pre-ordered this. I have now, but you know, having faith in Samantha Shannon that I will love it, so buying it anyway. Okay, so that's all the books. Obviously I'm making no attempt to pick them up because we have 3 stacks, we have 20 plus books. I don't know how much you can see these stacks. I don't know if this whole filming setup worked. We're hoping when I go to edit it did, but that is all the books I got in February. Part of me says I should go on a book buying ban because I read maximum 10 books a month and I've acquired 20 books a month for the last 2 months almost. I think I only got like 15 in January, but I only read like 8 in January. So overall, I am acquiring so many more books than I can read. My flat, which I specifically moved into with bookshelf space spare so it wouldn't fill up too fast, is full. I am out of space. Both bookshelves and my book cart are full. I have no space left and I don't know what to do about it. So yeah, we're just rolling with it. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Those are all the books I got. Thank you again to anyone who sent me something, any publisher, any of you. You know I appreciate it massively. Honestly as well, I think I said this in my last haul, the last couple months have been rough, like understandably so, with work just being really stressful and then surgery. But having at the end of a really long week, coming home to like an unexpected gift, honestly the serotonin boost is just unrivaled, and I know that's retail therapy and I should be happy with other things, but I don't care, it makes me really happy and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. If you are any of the people who's gifted me something and you didn't leave a social media handle in the gift note, please let me know down below so I can actually message you and say thank you. I will always obviously message someone if I know who they are, but off just a name is not really a way of messaging people. That's it though. I need to stop rambling. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all the books. I will see you all in the next video. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below, how many books did you get? Were you more restrained than me in February? I hope you were, for your sakes. But did you get many? I want to know. I'm always nosy to know what other people got. Subscribe if you'd like to see more content from me. All the links to all of my social media, my wish list, Twitter, other social media, as well as read-alongs and book clubs that I host are down below if you want to check out any of those and take part in any of those. But that is it for the video, so bye, and I'll see you in the next one. So I just zoomed the camera a bit to take a thumbnail and I realised you couldn't see the full stacks. Do you see how stupid this is? God, I cannot believe I have this many books. Let's not think about the never-ending TBR because I'm gonna get anxious, but it's also so exciting and they're all new and pretty and I love it. Yay.